and gentlemen, today I stand before you to introduce a remarkable candidate for the governor of Ohio, Vivek Ramaswamy. In a time when clarity is crucial, Vivek offers exactly that, an articulate and insightful and a straightforward communication that everybody can understand. When he speaks, his ideas resonate with everybody here. He provides a clear vision for a brighter future. He breaks down complex issues into very understandable solutions and making sense of the challenges us Ohioans are facing. Whether it's discussing education, healthcare, or the economy, Vivek's words inspire hope and confidence. Let's choose a leader who not only understands our concerns, but also communicates them with conviction and with clarity. Together, we can build a stronger and more prosperous Ohio under Vivek. Please join me in welcome him today. Thank you so much.
Please welcome Ashland Mayor Matt Miller.
Actually, they should turn that song up. That's a great song to walk out to. Living on a Prayer, that's a great song. Now, I don't know about you, but this past year, I've said a lot of prayers for our great nation. Haven't you? I've asked God over and over again to give us leaders who will know Him and who will seek Him and seek to do His will, not only in our state, but in our nation. And I don't know how you feel about it, but as far as I'm concerned, He's answering our prayers, isn't He? All across the country. Now tonight, I actually stand here as a former Ashland County Commissioner, a former Deputy Director of the Ohio Department of Transportation, and the current mayor of the great city of Ashland, Ohio. And I have a sole purpose for being here tonight. My purpose is to tell you why we need to elect Vivek Ramaswamy as our next governor. Vivek's a great guy, and he is a standout character, isn't he? Without question. Now, first of all, let me just say this. I know most of you in this room are very aware of the national political scene. You're very aware of everything going on in Ohio. And I think you will agree with me, there is no other individual in this great country right now, no other individual in our state that can better articulate our Republican principles and why our conservative ideals and principles present the best path forward, right? He does so clearly and so concisely and so compellingly. You know, on the other side of the coin, if you haven't noticed, over the last several years, he's done a mighty good job of also explaining very clearly why all of those liberal left ideologies are creating great harm to the very people that they were designed to help. He's done a wonderful job of telling us about why they are destroying this country and why they're actually keeping our children from fulfilling their God-given potential. Now, I'll tell you what, here in Ohio, we're very fortunate because we've got a great group of men and women leading our state in a variety of offices. These are good men and women who work hard for us, who care about our country, care about our state, and want to do what's best for all of us. But the truth is, they are good managers. They're doing a great job of overseeing the affairs of their departments and their respective offices. But there's a big difference between being a leader and being a manager. And I think you will agree with me, that is the difference between Vivek Ramaswamy and the rest of the folks on the scene. Vivek has proven he can cast a vision, he can get people excited about that vision, he can get you energized about that vision and unite us to move in a better direction so that we can, in fact, become that state of excellence, which he talks about all around this state. You know, we're in a good situation here, but the truth is, every government gets bigger over time, doesn't it? Every government grows. Every government over time becomes more bureaucratic, and you certainly know that every government gets more expensive with time, doesn't it? And that's why in our government in Columbus, Ohio, every now and then you need someone with a fresh set of eyes, someone who can come onto the scene, can step back and take a look at what's going on, and have the boldness and the courage to step forward and say, this needs to change. Those regulations need rolled back. That wasteful spending needs to end. I believe that Vivek Ramaswamy is the guy for Ohio to do just that. Now, in this great state of ours, I have to admit, one of my favorite slogans is Ohio, the heart of it all. I love that slogan. We should have never gotten rid of it for those few years we did. Ohio, the heart of it all. And you know, it's so appropriate because when you take a look at the map of the great country, we actually are in the shape of Ohio, right there in the very place where our own hearts are beating inside of us at this very moment. And you know, it's great because we are the heart of the country. We're the mother of presidents and a vice president. We're also the place that gave birth to aviation, and the list goes on and on and on. In fact, I would love to go on and on about it. But the truth is, if we're going to have a prosperous and great nation, we need to make sure the heart is healthy. We need to make sure the heart of it all, the great state of Ohio, is healthy, strong, vibrant, and prosperous. And folks, I'm telling you right now, Vivek is the guy that can help us do that. Vivek represents a new generation of Ohio leadership. And at a time when our institutions, and so many of you in this room, are working hard to try to keep our young people here and attract new ones from all across the country, what better person to put forward than our very own millennial, Vivek Ramaswamy, who already has a national following and has already proven he's got the energy and enthusiasm to draw attention to our great state. Ladies and gentlemen, it is truly an honor to stand before you tonight, and I want God to bless every one of you for coming out and supporting the next governor of the state of Ohio, Vivek Ramaswamy.
Please welcome State Senator Christina Rogner.
Man, we lit up your world like the 4th of July. Hey, Uncle Sam, put your name at the top of his list, and the Statue of Liberty started shaking her fist.
Good evening. I am Christina Rogner, and I am a state senator, and I am running to be the next treasurer of the great state of Ohio. So by way of introduction, let me tell you a little bit about what I believe, and I share the same values as Vivek, so let's get right to it. So I believe that the United States of America is the greatest country on earth. It is, 100%. That Ohio is the heart of it all. I believe in free markets and limited government, and I believe that competition and meritocracy is what drives greatness. I also believe in strong families, traditional family values. And I am proud to say I am pro-life. Thank you. Every life is sacred. I also believe that kids should be educated in schools and not indoctrinated. I believe that government of the people, for the people, and by the people. And I believe we are one nation under God. And I love our state motto, and if you know it, say it with me. With God, all things are possible. That is who I am. That's what I believe, and that is what's been driving my work in the legislature. And we've gotten some great things done together. Just to name a few, we eliminated Ohio's estate tax. I sponsored legislation to reduce regulations in this state by 30%. You now need a photo ID to vote in Ohio. That's good. We also reduced our income tax. When I first took office, it was around 6%. Now it's just over 3%. And so we are getting some great things done. Ohio is also a constitutional carry state now. So, I mean, we've really made some great progress. But there is more to do. And the reason I say there is more to do is because one data point I like to look at is the Chief Executive magazine. That's where the CEOs, once a year, they'll rank all 50 states. And when I first took office back in 2011, Ohio was 41st out of 50 states. That was awful. But through these reforms we've made, we have clawed our way up, and we are now 11th, which is good. It's substantial progress. That is good. Yes, we can clap for that. But we won't rest until we're number one. And to get to number one, we're going to need a strong governor. We need someone that is bold, a visionary, who's innovative, who's charismatic, who is bright, driven. Ladies and gentlemen, we need Vivek Ramaswamy. Now, I very, very rarely will endorse in a Republican primary, but I am making a notable exception this time because I firmly believe that Vivek is who we need. He is the right person for the right time. He is here for a time such as this. I met him 2 years ago at a conference in D.C., and it was the first time I heard him speak. And I have to say, I was immediately impressed. He boldly spoke the truth. He was clear and articulate, and he was right on all the issues. And so I've been watching him since then for the last 2 years, and he has been consistent. He hasn't wavered. He is still that same man, and it's just, I'm like, we need him. Ohio needs him. I've also watched him with his family, with his wife and his young children. And he leads by example with conservative, traditional family values. So I really admire him, and I am proud tonight for the first time to publicly announce my endorsement for Vivek Ramaswamy to be our next governor. Now, who here is excited about Doge and what they're doing? Yeah? I know I am. I'm super. I love turning on the TV and seeing them slashing wasteful spending and eliminating entire programs that just shouldn't be there in the first place. They are doing a great job. So we're going to do the same in Ohio. And my last name is difficult, I will say. I mean, first name's Christina. My last name is Rogner. That's a tough one. But the way you can remember it, Rogner is going to be go rogue. Okay? And rogue stands for reduce, overspending, and excessive government. So let's go rogue. That'll be Ohio's new Doge. So join me. And so in closing, I would like to say that Ohio's best days are ahead. Our future is bright. So please join me in supporting Vivek Ramaswamy to be our next governor. May God bless each and every one of you. May God bless the United States of America and the great state of Ohio. Thank you for being here tonight.
Please welcome State Treasurer Robert Sprague.
Well, good evening. It's a good evening to support Vivek Ramaswamy to be the next governor of the state of Ohio, is it not? My name is Robert Sprague. I'm your current Treasurer of State, and with your help, I will be the next Secretary of State of the state of Ohio, ladies and gentlemen. Now look, a lot of you know me. You know that just a few weeks ago, I was in the governor's race, and I want to tell you why. Because I'm a sixth-generation Ohioan. I went abroad after school, and I built a business, and I sold it, and I came back to my hometown of Findlay with my wife Amanda and our 5 children because we wanted to raise them with Ohio values, and we wanted to raise them next to our Ohio family. And just this summer, I learned that Ohio was 45th out of 50 states in our economic growth since COVID. And I think we're built for more. I learned that Ohio is supposed to lose 675,000 citizens by the year 2050. And I believed that Ohio was built for more. I believe that we needed a new vision and bold action to turn our state around. First of all, that we should eliminate the income tax once and for all in the state of Ohio and make Ohio the most competitive state in the Midwest to make things again. Ohio should be a state where you keep what you earn here. Secondly, we need to lift people up and out of poverty. In our family, we have a saying, you get to write your own story. Nobody writes their own story if they're living in poverty on a government program. These individuals need skills to build a career here in the state of Ohio, not another government program. The third thing is Donald Trump has made America energy independent again, and we need to make Ohio energy independent again. God has blessed us with natural resources right under our feet. And we need to turn those natural resources into electrons, dramatically reform the energy policy of the state of Ohio, and we need to be the state that has the most abundant and the most reliable electricity in the United States of America to welcome back the manufacturing jobs that are in this industrial park and that are coming back to the United States of America thanks to President Donald J. Trump. And finally, I believe that you should never be persecuted on public square for what you believe and how you exercise your faith here in the state of Ohio. We need to not just make sure that people are respected, we need to make sure that they are encouraged in their belief of the Lord. Those are the four things that I felt were important for the resurgence, the renaissance of my state. And there's one man that today is announcing for governor that shares that vision. He's an outsider. He's a businessman. He's a very successful entrepreneur, highly intelligent, and he believes in this vision of the future of the state of Ohio. And ladies and gentlemen, tonight I am proud to give my full endorsement and support to Vivek Ramaswamy to be the next governor of the state of Ohio. Now, as I told you, I'm pivoting to be your next Secretary of State. I just want to tell you very shortly about that. First of all, I got to tell you, Frank LaRose, you like Frank LaRose? Isn't he great? He's done a great job as our Secretary of State, don't you think? Here's what I'm going to do as Secretary of State. Two things. Number one, I'm going to keep the elections secure. Number two, I'm going to keep them fair. You know how we keep them secure? First of all, are we going to require people to have a government-issued voter ID to vote? You bet we are. Secondly, we're going to make sure that there aren't dead people and fake people on the voter rolls in the state of Ohio, and we're not going to apologize for it. The third thing is only American citizens are allowed to vote in the elections of the state of Ohio. And finally, we are going to continue to lead the United States of America and in working with the Trump administration to make sure that cybersecurity is our number one priority in the Secretary of State's office, because here's what I believe: the enemies of the United States of America don't get a vote in these elections. Only you, the people of the state of Ohio, get to cast a vote in the Ohio elections. Secondly, we're going to keep the elections fair. And how do you do that? Well, you make sure that there's a Democrat and a Republican taking the voter machines out of the closet, a Democrat and a Republican registering you to vote, a Democrat and a Republican looking at the ballots. That's why Ohio is the gold standard for fairness in the United States of America. And I give you my word, elections are inherently political, but the Secretary of State's office will not be under Robert Sprague. I want to do three additional things as Secretary of State. First, I want to make sure that we use all the available data to clean our voter rolls. Second, I want to do an audit of not just the election results, but also the custody of each and every one of your votes to make sure that they're counted accurately. And third, Vivek and I have had conversations about how he as governor and myself as Secretary of State can reinstill a true civic education in our young people to make sure that they understand their right to vote, their rights, and how voting maintains their rights. And we are going to increase the voter participation of our young people here in the state of Ohio through civic education. So tonight, I am proud to endorse Vivek. I think that he's the leader that we need at this time in our state. And what I can tell you is that it's not going to be about Robert Sprague or a special leader. It's not just about Vivek. You know what this next election is about, and you know what Ohio is about? It is about all of us. We need to help Vivek. We need to drive our state forward. And together we can lead a renaissance here in the state of Ohio. May God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Please welcome Colorado Congressman Greg Lopez.
So how's everybody doing tonight? You guys excited? Look, I just came back from the first event, and we're all trying to get down here to talk to you. But let me tell you, you guys are going to hear a great speech from a great man that's going to be the next governor of Ohio. Are you with me? You know, when Vivek told me he was going to run for governor, I said, you know what, you and I may have something in common. And he's like, why is that? I said, because you never know, I may have to follow in your footsteps in Colorado. You know, I came all the way from Colorado just to support him. You know, I served on the 118th Congress. I served in the Dodge Committee with him. So when you look about fraud, waste, and abuse, he definitely started it. You know, and now he's coming back to Ohio to say, you know what, we can do better here in this state. And there's the one thing I will tell you. He's a strong patriot. He loves America. And he believes, like I do, in the American dream. Don't you guys believe in the American dream? Look, I want to tell you that there's something else that we have in common. You know, we have some strong, professional, courageous wives, you know, that stand with us everywhere we go. You know, and I know he's going to tell you that it's true, that we both flew under a lucky star when we found our soulmates for the rest of our lives. You know, she's a fantastic lady. She's going to be a fantastic first lady for the state of Ohio. And the one thing I do know that he's going to do, folks, he's going to make sure that every Ohioan has a better quality of life when he is the governor of this great state. You know, he is going to make sure that not only the economy is better, the education is better, but most importantly, that everybody is proud to be an Ohioan once again, because he's going to make sure that everything he does, all his policies, are going to be focused on how do I make the lives better for everyone that lives in Ohio, regardless of party affiliation, regardless of whether they vote for him or not. He is going to represent them as the governor that he should, because he cares about you. You know, one of the things that I will tell you, and you probably know him better than I do, but in the times that I had a conversation with him, you know, there's something about how he speaks. There's something about how he stands tall. You know, his future for Ohio is not only achievable, but it's something that you can believe in, something that you will actually feel and understand that he is a strong leader that understands your struggles. He understands your challenges. And most importantly, he's going to fight for you. He's got a vision that when you hear it, I think you're going to be amazed, because I know he's going to be able to achieve it. I know you guys are ready for a new leadership out here. I know you're ready for someone that will not only feel your pain, but also understand your challenges. You know, I was kidding him earlier. I said, Governor Ramaswamy. Doesn't that sound good? Doesn't that sound great? Governor Ramaswamy. You know, he is one that I know he's going to lead not only Ohio, but the rest of the nation. Some of the bold ideas he has, you guys are going to be at the top when he's all said and done with what he does with Ohio. Look, if you want a better life for not only yourselves and your family, if you're single and you want a brighter future, the only thing you have to do is vote for Vivek Ramaswamy. Thank you very much, folks.
Please welcome Secretary of State Frank LaRose.
All right. Good evening, everybody. So I tell you what, we've got something exciting coming up, but I just wanted to tell you a little bit about what I do as your Secretary of State. You heard from Robert, our next Secretary of State. But you know what my job is. We take the dead people off the voter rolls, drives the Democrats nuts. I don't know why. We make sure that only American citizens can vote in Ohio. We check IDs. We actually go after people that get caught committing election fraud and make sure that they are prosecuted for their crime, because when a law is not enforced, it's not a law. It's a suggestion. And we make sure that Ohio remains the gold standard for elections administration by following the laws in the Buckeye State. But some of you may have heard, I just made an announcement a couple of weeks ago that I'm now running for the office of Auditor of State. Now, you may think, auditor, what does that do? Do you look at spreadsheets all day? Well, actually, it's a lot more exciting than that. That's important, but the Auditor of State has two main responsibilities. The Auditor of State catches crooks, local politicians, statewide politicians, bureaucrats that are engaging in corruption, putting their hand in the cookie jar. We make sure that they face justice for their crimes, and that's a pretty important thing. But here's something else that's important. The Auditor of State has the power to do what's called a performance audit. A performance audit is coming into any local or state government entity, opening the hood and figuring out if it's not firing on all cylinders, if they're overstaffed, if they're using antiquated technology, if they're doing things stupidly that are causing them to be inefficient. Does that sound familiar to you? It sounds a lot like what they're doing right now in Washington, D.C. with DOJ, doesn't it? I'll tell you what, a lot of Republican candidates for president over the years have talked about making government more efficient. A lot of candidates have talked about how they're going to root out corruption. But you know who's actually had the courage to see it through to fruition? Donald J. Trump and the DOJ team. I'll tell you what, it's time that we have ODOJ, Ohio Department of Government Efficiency, and that's exactly what I'm going to focus on as your next Auditor of State. But we're here to talk about the next governor. Are you guys excited to hear from the next governor of Ohio, Vivek Ramaswamy? You guys know his story. It's really the American dream story. You know about the guy that grew up in Southwest Ohio, that was incredibly gifted academically, that had a chance to go on and get a great, prestigious education. The guy that started successful businesses, that wrote successful books. The guy who was out on the campaign trail tirelessly helping Donald Trump last year to become our president. You know the story of Vivek Ramaswamy. You know what he stood for. He was a voice in the wilderness when nobody else was willing to say it, calling out woke Inc., as he calls it, calling out that woke mind virus that was corrupting the minds of so many people in our nation. Vivek Ramaswamy has been that voice for so long. But let me tell you something else about him. Vivek is a leader. And I know that a lot of people have the title leader. Let me explain it like this. When I was in the Army, there were leaders that you followed because you had to, because they had the rank on their shoulder that said so. And then there were those leaders that you wanted to follow. Vivek Ramaswamy is one of those leaders that you want to follow, because he's got a vision and he has got a plan, but so much more than that. A lot of leaders have visions and plans, but Vivek has the courage to actually bring it to fruition, the grit and the determination to get it done. When people say it's impossible, Vivek says, no, it's not. Ohio can be that state of excellence. Ohio can be the most prosperous state in the nation, and with Vivek Ramaswamy as governor, that's exactly what we're going to do. Now, you're going to hear from somebody else in a couple minutes. You're going to hear from Dr. Apoorva Ramaswamy. I think you will agree that she is going to make an excellent First Lady for Ohio. She's awesome. So I've got a couple questions for you. Are Ohio's best days ahead of us? Can we get there if we have bold and courageous leadership? Is Vivek Ramaswamy the man that can get that done? Well, I agree with you, and that's why I have endorsed Vivek Ramaswamy, and I love the way President Trump does this. When President Trump talks about endorsements, he talks about this person has my complete and total endorsement, right? It's not a halfway endorsement. Well, I tell you what, Vivek Ramaswamy has my complete and total endorsement because I am convinced that he is the man for this moment that Ohio needs. Let me tell you another quick story. Vivek and I are both people that enjoy exercise. We're among those oddballs that actually like to go out for a run. And so Vivek and I have gone running. And, you know, after a 4-mile run, you're usually a little bit tired physically. I can tell you after a 4-mile run with Vivek, I'm not tired physically, I'm tired mentally because he puts me through the paces. This is the kind of thinking that he does. He said, hey, Frank, next time we go running, I want to hear how we can reduce the state income tax and eventually eliminate it. Talk to me about that next time we go running. That's the kind of mind that Vivek Ramaswamy has. And by the way, you're going to see that on full display here in just a couple minutes. He's going to talk about a bold and courageous vision to make Ohio truly the greatest state in the nation once again, as we once were. Vivek Ramaswamy, ladies and gentlemen, our next governor. Ladies and gentlemen, get loud because you're about to hear from the next governor of Ohio, Vivek Ramaswamy. Thank you.
Please welcome Dan Reaganold.
It's a beautiful day to live your way. It's a beautiful day.
It is a beautiful day, isn't it? Aren't you guys excited to have Vivek Ramaswamy back finally in Ohio full time? Isn't that a great thing? My name is Dan Reaganold. Some of you might know me from my work at empoweryouamerica.org. And that's a free university for the last 15 years that's taught classes on politics, economics, history, education, things like that, fun stuff. Vivek has come and talked to our classes a few times. And at one of the classes, he actually helped us kind of pick our motto for our classes. And that motto, he was onto this so much earlier than everybody else was, speak freely. And that's something is important that we all do. So about 4 years ago or so, I started traveling around Ohio, came to Columbus a few times to talk about culture war issues, things like DEI, critical race theory. And this was all about the disparagement of our kids in our Ohio schools. And it had gotten really bad. Some of you in Columbus, raise your hand if you were in Olentangy or other areas like Cincinnati and Cleveland. It was really bad stuff. So we were able to send out these emails about what we were working on, and we could see who opened the emails. The first people to always open the emails were the top leaders of Ohio. I'll let you just think who that is. It was almost every email we sent, they opened it first. But we could never get them to do anything. They moved could this sound familiar? They moved as slow as molasses. And that's something that I hope Vivek will change. It was right around that time I saw his book, Woke Inc. had come out. And when I kind of compared what I was out talking about, I just couldn't believe how far ahead of the curve Vivek was. Now, wouldn't it be great for us to have a leader in Ohio that was actually ahead of the curve? Wouldn't that be a great thing? Vivek Ramaswamy. So it brought back good memories because Vivek grew up in Evendale, Ohio, which it's just inside 275 towards Cincinnati. And Evendale was almost an idyllic village. It was almost perfect. Great people, great schools, just a great place. And it was there my wife and I raised our kids, and we met Vivek, he just lived down the street from us. And he was a tennis player. He was an athlete. And some days I would be able to leave work early, and I'd go pick my kids up from tennis, and I'd watch the kid on the court down there. He would just be sweating profusely, doing whatever he could do to get the last point. He'd come off the courts with his friends. They'd be laughing. They'd be having fun. And I thought to myself when I saw him, this kid is a winner. Wouldn't it be great to win in Ohio? Wouldn't it be great to have a winner? Do you guys like to win? Come on. And Vivek went to the same elementary school as my kids. And it got near the end of I think it was the 6th grade, and they were going to do their awards ceremony that night. You know, when all the kids come to school and they they get their awards for the year. And I walked into school that night, and there was just a buzz in the school, and all the kids, they were dressed to the nines, and they were all ready to win their awards. And the ceremony started, and the first award was mathematics, Vivek Ramaswamy. And then the next award, English, Vivek Ramaswamy. And then social studies, guess who was it? Who won? Vivek Ramaswamy. And finally, phys ed, Ramaswamy. The guy, he almost ran the table that night on the awards ceremony. I heard one kid kind of off to the side saying, "Darn that Ramaswamy." But I'll tell you, Ohio, wouldn't it be great if we had somebody in this state that could win a few awards, like maybe best economy, like maybe best school systems, like maybe lowest taxes with no income taxes? Wouldn't that be a great thing? Well, the good news is tonight we've got Vivek Ramaswamy with us, and with his entrepreneurial approach, he sees things differently. And really that visionary leadership, Vivek will change Ohio. And before we know it, we'll wake up one day and we'll look at our cities and our townships and our county government and our state government, and we'll have to teach those people to see government differently. And won't that be an incredible thing? Because when we do, that will empower you, it will empower us, and we will soar. And Ohio, wouldn't it be great to soar? Wouldn't that be a great thing? Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Steve Hilton.
Come on, man. How are we all doing, everybody? So I've come all the way from California. You know what it takes to drag me away from the beautiful sunshine of California? Something very, very special. And that is what you're going to see tonight. Someone very, very special. A very good friend of mine. I want to tell you a quick story about my friend, Vivek Ramaswamy. I'll tell you the first time we met. So I got to know Vivek. He used to do my show, my podcast. We'd talk down the camera. We'd phone each other. And then, one time when I was in New York and he was there as well, we texted each other, let's meet for dinner. We met in a restaurant in New York, and there, said hi to each other, big hug, like long-lost friends. And then we realized we'd never actually met in person before. But why do I tell you that story? Because that warmth, that energy and that love, that huge heart, that is Vivek Ramaswamy, my friend. He loves his family, he loves his friends, he loves his country, and as you're going to see tonight, I think he loves this great state of Ohio. And the thing about Vivek is that he's not just someone who's got the right ideas about what you need here in this state. He's been right on pretty much everything, as you've been hearing, long before anyone else. It's not just Vivek is right and has got the right ideas. It's that he gets stuff done. He doesn't just talk about it. He's not some politician who just talks. He gets it done. He's built the businesses. He is a fighter and a doer, and he's got the vision for the future of this state that I am excited about, even though I don't even live here. And so, when we think about what you're about to see, remember this. This man, he is the future. He is the future of our country, and he's certainly the future of this state. So my friend Vivek Ramaswamy, you put that together with this great state of Ohio and the future that lies ahead, it is going to be magic. It is going to be fantastic. Let's tell everyone, and Vivek especially, how much we all love Vivek Ramaswamy and the future he's got in his hands for all of you and this great state. Thank you very much, everybody. Let's say a big cheer for Vivek Ramaswamy. See you later, everybody.
Please welcome Secretary of State Frank LaRose.
So, it's me again. Hey, I've got a special announcement that I think you guys are going to find really exciting. So in a couple minutes, we're going to hear from Ohio's next governor. Before that, we're going to hear from Ohio's next First Lady. But afterwards, tonight at 9:30, Vivek is going to be doing the Sean Hannity Show live from right here. All right? So here's what I need you all to do. When Vivek is done, make sure to stick around, have your Vivek signs be over here. We're going to show an energetic crowd behind him for a national audience so that everybody in this country watching Hannity tonight knows how excited the people of Ohio are to make Vivek Ramaswamy our next governor. Now, are you guys excited to hear from him? All right. Next up is the next First Lady of Ohio, Dr. Apoorva Ramaswamy.
I know it's a Monday night and we have 2 kids backstage, so I am so grateful to all of you for coming out tonight and being here with us. You know, you have all known Vivek from the TV. You've seen him as a leader, as an entrepreneur. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about us as a family. So Vivek and I met when we were both in school. He was in law school. I was in medical school. It was my first week. And I am not someone who really believes in love at first sight, but I do believe that God took me by the hand that night and said, this is the guy for you. I can't otherwise explain how I knew after meeting this idealistic optimist one night at a party, I knew he was going to be the one I would marry. We danced, he walked me home, and we've been together ever since. Now, we went on to finish school, we got married, and while I was doing my residency in ear, nose, throat surgery, Vivek was starting a company. And that company was actually to make medicines. And that company went on, and I'm so proud of him for this, they found cures for diseases that when I was in medical school, they were untreatable. And because of the discoveries made by that team, there are children now who are alive who otherwise would not have been. So while Vivek was CEO of that company, and while I was actually pregnant with our first son, Karthik, who actually had his 5th birthday just yesterday, so happy birthday, Karthik. He started telling me about a different set of problems. He started talking to me about things like ESG and stakeholder capitalism. And at the time, I had no idea what they were, and most people didn't. And he actually started to coin the term of woke Inc. and wrote a book about it. And looking back on those years now, I am so proud of the man that I married. He, in his 20s, started a company that, from scratch, that went on to be worth billions of dollars, but more importantly, helped so many patients. And that same man, when he saw a different problem facing our country, he put aside all of his ambitions in the biotech world and as an entrepreneur and said, this is what I need to focus on. No one else is talking about this, and I feel called by my principles to lead today. And that is what he did, and that's what brought us on this journey. Now, while Vivek was leading as an entrepreneur and as an author, I have had the opportunity to treat patients here at the James at OSU. Go Bucks. And I am so lucky because what I do is I treat voice and swallowing disorders in patients who've had cancers. And I feel so lucky because my patients have gone through the worst things any of us could have imagined. They've been through the unthinkable, Some of them no longer are able to eat by mouth. Others don't have a voice to be able to speak. And I feel so fortunate for what I do because they teach me every day what is important in life. And it is things like being able to talk to your husband even after a late day and a long day with your kids. It's things like being able to sit down and enjoy a meal with your family in the holidays. And these are the blessings that we are so grateful for, and I'm so grateful to my patients for keeping this. Now, all of you have seen Vivek as in so many different contexts. But to me, he's the man who has stood by me through so many challenges. He's the person who teaches our children about honor and bravery and responsibility and hard work. And I know that if he is a fraction of the husband that he is to me and the father that he is to Karthik and Arjun, he's going to be the best governor this state has ever seen. So thank you so much. I want to welcome my husband, Vivek Ramaswamy.
This is how legends are made. This is how legends are made. This is how legends are made.
Great to see you. How about the future First Lady of Ohio right here? And the two troublemakers with her. They stayed up late. It's great. Great to be here, guys. We started at home where I grew up in Butler County, where I lived till I was 5. We moved to Evendale after that. My wife and I knew that when we had kids, we didn't want to raise them in Manhattan. We didn't want to raise them somewhere else. We wanted to raise them right here close to the home where we grew up, and we're raising them right here in Columbus, Ohio. So thank you, Columbus, for coming out tonight. We're grateful for you. So that's some good news. America is back, and it feels fantastic right now. And we're just getting started. We do have a lot of work yet ahead of us, though, and that work is still just beginning. Over the last 4 years, we went through a national identity crisis in this country. Faith, patriotism, hard work, and family all but disappeared during Biden's presidency. Under his tenure as the U.S. president, less than 16% of Gen Z said they were proud to be an American, and we had a 25% recruitment deficit in our own U.S. military. That was unacceptable to me as an American. I spent the better part of last year working tirelessly, traveling this country to help send Donald Trump back to the White House, because it was a fork in the road for the future of the country. And in November, America made the right choice by re-electing the greatest president of the 21st century. I'm grateful for it, because now there's a new, fresh new energy in the country, a new enthusiasm, a new verve. We can all see it. We can all feel it. I'm truly as optimistic as I have ever been for the future of our country. We're on the cusp of a new golden age for America, a revival in our conviction in what it means to be a citizen of this nation. What does it mean to be an American? It means we believe in merit, that we believe in hard work, that you get ahead in this country not on the color of your skin, but on the content of your character and your contributions. It means we believe in free speech and open debate. And I say this as the kid of legal immigrants to this country who came here to pursue those same values. You can have arguments with your dad or your neighbor at the dinner table and still be friends at the end of it. It means we stand for the rule of law in this country, that your first act of entering this country cannot break the law. It means that the people we elect to run the government ought to be the ones who actually run the government, not unelected bureaucrats in the deep state, whether that's in Washington, D.C. or Columbus, Ohio. It means that we as Americans are courageous, that we are brave, and that when called upon, even heroic, to serve our country in our hour of need. Those are the American ideals. That is the American spirit that won us the American Revolution, And that is the American spirit that Donald Trump is reviving as our 47th president. But it is not a one-man job. It doesn't work that way. If we are going to be saved, it is going to be because we all step up and save ourselves. And you know what? That starts with the states. If President Trump succeeds, as I expect in the next 2 years, that means a wide range of federal programs, from education to health care, are going to be kicked back to the states and to the people where they belong. That is what true federalism is all about. Donald Trump is reviving our conviction in America, but we need a leader back home, right here in Ohio, who revives our conviction in our home state. That is why today I am honored to announce my candidacy to serve as the next governor of a great state known at the heart of the greatest country known to mankind, the state where I was born and raised, the state where Apoorva and I are raising our 2 sons today, a state whose best days are still yet ahead of us. I am honored tonight to announce my candidacy to be the next governor of our great state of Ohio. We will lead Ohio to be the top state in the country to raise a young family, the top state in the country to start and grow a new business, the top state in the country to give our kids a world-class education in math, reading, writing, and critical thinking. The state that gives our kids the tools they need to equip them to be victors, not victims, in a competitive global economy. The state that embraces capitalism and meritocracy instead of apologizing for it. The state that takes a hatchet to red tape and regulations so we can be a state where every entrepreneur can thrive. The state that leads in the sectors of the future. Look at where we are right now in advanced manufacturing, right here in New Albany, in the heart of Ohio, in the heart of our country. Look at what's possible 360 degrees around. This place is nearly brand new, producing and providing for the supply chains of our country. We want to lead in the sectors of the future, from semiconductor production to AI to aerospace. I want Ohio to be the state that patriots across this country flock to, not just Florida or Texas. I will lead Ohio to be the state of excellence in America. There are some who think that's unrealistic. Not quite. In fact, it wasn't long ago that Ohio was actually that state. Today, young people on the internet make fun of Ohio. It irritates me. If something is a little bit old or outdated or out of touch, they would say, only in Ohio. Well, you know what? At the turn of the last century, people weren't laughing at Ohio. They were aspiring to be Ohio. In the first industrial revolution, we were the third most populous state in the country. We were the wealthiest state in the Union, an economic powerhouse with fertile farmland, with great natural resources right underneath our ground, the leading edge of that industrial revolution. Even in the 1950s, 6 of the top 15 wealthiest cities in America were right here at home in Ohio. Toledo was the glass capital of the world. Akron was the rubber capital. Youngstown and Cleveland were jointly the steel capitals of the world. Dayton provided the computing power to power the entire industrial revolution. My hometown of Cincinnati was known around the world as the Queen City, the consumer products capital of the world. Porkopolis providing the food supply chain for the rest of the country. We were the pioneers, the explorers, the unafraid. The people who no bureaucracy or government would dare stand in the way of. The state where the Wright brothers grew up before they took flight. The state where Neil Armstrong and John Glenn gained the self-confidence as kids to eventually go on to reach the outer frontiers of outer space. We were the pioneers. That's who we were. We were the state of excellence. And we can be the state of excellence again because we have all of the advantages we did back then. The same Erie Canal to New York City, the same Mississippi River to the Ohio River, the same fertile farmland, the same great hard workers that represent the best of our country, located at the heart of the greatest nation known to mankind, with 60% of North America's population. Think about that, within a single day's driving distance of where we are right now. God has blessed our state with all the gifts we could possibly want to lead the United States of America to our revival. All we need to do here in Ohio is start believing in ourselves, again, in our ability to do it. We're in a second industrial revolution right now in America. And I believe deep in my bones that Ohio can lead the way again. If Silicon Valley led the American economy for the last 10 years, I want it to be the Ohio River Valley for the next 10 years. And we're going to make it so. I'll be honest with you. I will always give you the truth. I don't think it's always going to be in the sectors of the past this time around. It may not be rubber production next time, but it'll be in the sectors of the future, from semiconductors to nuclear energy, from biotech to Bitcoin to our defense industrial base. The state where we use AI not to take jobs, but to make jobs through workforce training and education. This is where I want to lead our state, to be the state of economic excellence in America. This is our modern-day Northwest ordinance. We're a conservative state, and we deserve to be governed like one. That isn't going to lose us elections. That will win us elections because it'll put more money in your pocket. It'll lift up more people from poverty. It'll revive civic pride and self-confidence in our young people. It'll actually be the source of making patriots from across this country who share our values, from New York to California and even from Texas to Florida, to move right here to Ohio to establish their roots here. And yes, that includes so many of Ohio's children who go on to other states. We're going to repatriate them by their own choice to make Ohio the state where they go on to achieve their American dream, just like their grandparents and their parents did right here at home. That is going to require a new generation of leadership in our state. It's going to require a governor with fresh legs, who's willing to drive hard change, who's willing to drive and run through any obstacle that stands in the way of taking this state to our future. It's going to require some policy changes. We need to bring down the income tax in this state, eventually down to zero, because you deserve to keep what you earn. It is your money, not the government's. We need to bring down property taxes in this state immediately, which have gotten insanely high in our state. When your property tax matches the payments on your principal for your mortgage, it starts to feel like your owned land is a lease from the government. That is un-American, and one way or another, I will end it as your next governor in the great state of Ohio. We're going to end the wave of violent crime across the cities of our states by letting police officers actually do their jobs with the proper training needed to do it well, while respecting at every step the Second Amendment rights of every Ohioan, which shall not be infringed. And part of the way we're going to do that is by bringing back, this is a touchy subject, but I'm going to go there. It's going to be by bringing back the psychiatric hospitals that over so many decades were shut down, because our jails should not be the main form of psychiatric health care in this state. That is not compassion. That is cruelty to everyone involved, and we have to have the courage to stand for truth. We're going to end the war on work, and yes, that means reattaching work requirements to Medicaid and welfare in this state. We have a worker shortage, and we're not going to pay more people to stay at home than to go to work. That is not compassion. That is cruelty, and it will end as your next governor of this state takes office. We're going to be the state that takes the hatchet to red tape and regulations, to the bureaucracy, to government overreach. We're going to make sure every expenditure in this state of your taxpayer money, from the state level to the local level, to the county level, to the municipality, is going to be publicly transparent on the blockchain, so you're able to see how your money is actually spent to allow sunlight to be the disinfectant of waste, fraud, abuse, and government overreach in our state. We're going to slash and burn every unnecessary regulation under my administration as your next governor. For every new regulation that hits the books, we will require that there are at least 10 more that are rescinded. And if that doesn't happen, we're not having that new regulation in our home state right here. We need to take the permitting timelines down, 18 to 36 months to permit a new natural gas pipeline. That should be 6 months or less for our state to be competitive. And on my watch as your next governor, it will be, so that I can lead Ohio. We can lead Ohio to energy dominance, manufacturing dominance, AI dominance, without apologizing for excellence, because that is who we are. The top state in the country to become an entrepreneur and grow that new business. These aren't just academic solutions to enhance our GDP. They're vital improvements to our economic and social fabric in this state. So we're no longer a state where little league teams are closing shop because they can't find a local company to sponsor them. So that young mothers don't have to think twice before having that second or third or fourth kid for fear of the cost of a new stroller or a car seat or a bigger car. So that every parent has that bone-deep conviction that their kids will go on to live an even better life than they did, not by leaving this state, but by staying in this state to pursue their American dream. I will lead Ohio to become the state of economic excellence in America. And to do that, we will also have to make our state the state of educational excellence in America. The truth of the matter is, there's a crisis in America that, frankly, both political parties aren't talking enough about. It's the crisis of educational achievement in our next generation. It's an unfortunate hard fact today that 75% of 8th graders aren't even proficient in math according to international standards. 70% of them aren't proficient in reading. We rank number 26 out of 38 developed countries when it comes to math and reading proficiency, despite the fact that we spend more money than every one of them on education. There are kids in other countries where English isn't even their first language, performing better on English proficiency than our own kids right here at home. That is unacceptable to me. Speaking as a parent and an Ohioan and an American, I refuse to just stand by and watch as China laughs at our gradual decay into oblivion. We're going to take charge and turn that ship around, starting in Ohio, and show the rest of the country how it's done. As your next governor, I will lead Ohio to be the top state in the country and in the world when it comes to leading our kids to excel inside and outside the classroom, in math, in reading, in writing, in physical education. That is going to require taking our school choice programs to the next level. We're not the worst, but we're not the best. We got to go the full distance of Arizona and Iowa, where not only are private schools and charter schools a viable option, but even homeschooling a viable option for every parent who desires that for their kid. So no kid is trapped in the zip code where they're born, so their parent can send them to the best possible school they can. And we're going to accomplish that. But that's a conservative solution that many red state governors agree with across the country. What I want to talk about tonight is leading our state to also fix our public schools so they are able to compete with the best of the alternatives. This isn't just about throwing more money at the problem. It's about delivering actual solutions. We have to make sure our kids are safe in the schools they attend. That's why, as your next governor, I will ensure that our dedicated base of police officers is used such that one of them is in at least every one of our schools in this state with the proper training needed to do their jobs while they're there. We have to make sure that our kids show up to school. And that means combating the growing problem of chronic absenteeism in Ohio schools, which sadly has only gotten worse after the COVID-19 school closures. I'll pledge this as your next governor. Never again will we bend the knee in this state to an Anthony Fauci knockoff who allowed our public schools to be shut down while our private schools managed to remain open. She owes those kids an apology. We will stand for the achievement of our students, both inside and outside the classroom, from the sports fields to the math classes, to pursue excellence in every domain. That is who we are as Ohioans and as Americans. And to that end, I will be proud to lead Ohio to be the first state in the country to adopt the most common sense reform we could possibly want to revive our public schools by implementing merit-based pay for every teacher, principal, administrator, and superintendent of public schools in this state. And I mean it when I say this. I'm not looking to pick a fight with the teachers' unions. I'm not looking to pick a fight with anybody. But I will do whatever, and I mean whatever, is required to stand for the achievement of our students, because we owe that to the next generation. I'll be crystal clear about this. The best teachers in our state deserve to be paid a lot more than they are right now. I think about Mrs. Kinney, who taught me in 6th grade at Robert E. Lucas Intermediate School, part of Princeton's public schools in Cincinnati, Ohio. It was a school that had a special magnet program. I switched into it in 6th grade. She changed my life. She caused me to see in myself potential that I didn't know I had. She lit a fire under my feet, pushed me to work harder. If it wasn't for her, I probably wouldn't have lived the American dream in the way that I have. She probably would have been here tonight, and I'd be thanking her in person, but for the fact she died in a tragic accident a couple of years ago. We need more teachers in this state like Mrs. Kinney. But we're not attracting the very best anymore because there is no meritocracy in compensation. If we restore meritocracy in our schools, Ohio will become the magnet for the nation of the best educators across the country. And that's what we owe to our kids, to make sure we give them the very best possible teachers who teach them to excel in the subjects that actually matter. Not just reading, writing, and math, but also physical education. We're going to bring back PE into early childhood education, starting in kindergarten. We're going to bring back the presidential fitness test in middle schools. And yes, that includes the pull-ups that we had to do back when we were going through that, and that's a good thing, not a bad thing. We're going to serve healthier foods in our public school cafeterias, because the best way to save on health costs in the long run is to have a healthier population in the first place. Not just physical health, but that includes mental health too. We owe it to our kids to address the epidemic of depression, anxiety, fentanyl, suicide that has festered in our state for too long. We're going to start with a basic common sense reform in our public schools and actually finally get it done, not just through words, but through actions. We will get the cell phones out of the classroom. This is not a Republican or a Democrat idea. The data is clear. We shouldn't be paving the way for attention deficit disorder for our kids. We should actually allow them to discover with self-confidence their own abilities to achieve. We've got to fill that hole in the heart of a generation, that black hole, that void that runs deep. Our young people are hungry for purpose, for meaning, for identity, hungry to be part of something bigger than themselves. Individual, family, nation, and God beats race, gender, sexuality, and climate if we have the courage to actually stand for what is right, what is true, what is good. And that we as leaders have to have the courage to actually stand for it. That means standing for the revival of faith in our state. Think about this. I mentioned the Northwest Ordinance before. We were part of the Northwest Territory, established by a group of Baptists who came to Ohio and a group of states around us to seek religious freedom for persons of every faith. This was even before the Constitutional Convention. That's why they came to Ohio. I'm going to help revive faith in this state by continuing that tradition Those guys did it 200 years ago as Baptists so that I could be here 2 centuries later and a guy like me can run for governor of that same state. We will stand for the revival of faith by actually protecting religious liberty for persons of every faith in our state to help fill that vacuum of purpose. We will stand for the nuclear family as the greatest form of governance known to mankind by eliminating the disincentives to family formation, because the nuclear family is inherently good and lifts more people up. It's not just through the laws we pass. It'll also be through the example we set. Apoorva and I take our responsibility seriously, both as parents but as leaders of this state, to set an example for our young people, to show them that marriage is good, that the nuclear family is good. We will hold ourselves to a high standard so that we're not talking out of both sides of our mouth when it comes to conservative values in our state. We're going to revive civic education that teaches our kids to be proud of our country and of our state rather than to be ashamed of it. That means replacing victimhood indoctrination and woke indoctrination with actual U.S. history, with actual civics lessons. It means saying the Pledge of Allegiance every morning in every one of our public schools with a moment of silence every morning so kids can remember and reflect on who they actually are. Every high school senior in this state will, on my watch, have to pass the same civics test that every legal immigrant has to pass in order to become a full citizen of this country, because you cannot love a country unless you know about that country. And it's our responsibility to pass that knowledge on to our kids and their generation. After we light that fire under the feet of our K through 12 primary education system, we'll then be able to take our post-secondary education to the next level. I want Ohio to have the leading universities in the country. I went to Princeton public schools through 8th grade. I went to St. X in Cincinnati for high school. I went to Harvard for college. I went to Yale for law school. My parents came to this country 45 years ago with no money. I've gone on to found multiple successful companies. Apoorva's parents came to this country with nothing. She's gone on to live her version of the American dream as a successful throat surgeon at the James right here in Columbus, Ohio, where she is serving and helping cancer survivors every day through her work. She was the true first public servant in our family, and I'm proud of her. And we're both proud of our path to the American dream. We don't think we should hide our path to success. We're proud of it. But we also recognize that our path cannot be the only path. As your next governor, I will make it easier for graduates to also pursue a 2-year vocational program in being an electrician or a welder or a mechanic or a builder, so they too have a dignified path to the full American dream that we have lived in our own lives. Promote earn while you learn programs as early as high school. Get rid of the occupational licensing requirements that senselessly stand in the way of too many young Ohioans trying to find their first job. Finding a path to the American dream that doesn't run through riddling themselves with college debt on their shoulders. I don't call these professions the trades. I think we should actually abandon that. I call them professions, because that's what they are. And they deserve the full respect as somebody who goes on to become an engineer or a doctor or a lawyer or a banker. We want to be the state where we recruit the genius programmers who program that next generation of AI. But we also want to be the state where we train the next generation of skilled workers to use that AI and apply it to their respective fields, from financial services to healthcare to construction design. This isn't just a game of either or. It's certainly not a blame game where one of these paths is more or less elite than the other. In my view, they're all elite, actually. We're Ohioans, after all. I want Ohio to be the state where every young man and young woman who wants to become a doctor or an engineer or a programmer or a banker has an opportunity to seek that education at UC or OSU or Bowling Green or OU, while we also provide the best possible path to every young man and young woman who wants to become a carpenter or a welder or a builder. The state where every path is open to every child. The state where the paths to success are plural. That is what a true meritocracy is about. America was built on the idea of a meritocracy. A nation that recognized that every one of you, every one of us, has our own unique God-given gifts, distinct from every other person in the world, and that we are the nation where you get to achieve the maximum of your own God-given potential without any government or bureaucracy standing in your way. That is what made America great the first time, and that is how we will make Ohio great again in this second industrial revolution. Our metrics of success won't just be our GDP growth. It's not just the number of green pieces of paper that we create, though I won't apologize for that. That's a good thing too. But our actual metrics of success will be the number of people who move into this state rather than out. The number of children who are born into families in this state. The number of those children who choose to remain in this state to pursue their American dream right here in Ohio. And as your next governor, I am committed to leading our state to be the top in the country on every one of those metrics. The state where the American dream isn't just about a flowery language, but is about the reality of action. The state where we raise a generation not to be hostile to capitalism or success or to those who succeed through capitalism. Not through envy, but instead through participation, where they have real skin in the game and are being lifted up through every one of those developments. I'm a father of 2 sons. They're here running around tonight. The suits have come off. And they're a little young, but my message to the 2 of them and to every son and daughter of Ohio tonight is this. The American dream is your birthright. A world-class education is your birthright. Success is your birthright. Freedom is your heritage, and excellence is your destiny. This isn't a small vision for our state. It is an ambitious vision because that is who we are as Americans and as Ohioans. We're not victims. We're victors. We don't whine. We win. That is who we are. We don't apologize for our success. I'm not a career politician. There's no teleprompters here tonight. If I screwed something up in my speech, we have no one else to blame but my speechwriter, which is me, who you're looking at, okay? And we're going to keep it that way for the rest of this campaign. It gets me in trouble sometimes, but at least you know what I actually mean when I share it with you at every step of this campaign. My message to every person who disagrees with me, whatever your party is that, you know what, somebody who agrees with you 80% of the time isn't your enemy. But somebody who agrees with you 100% of the time probably isn't your friend either. That's the truth. I want to win the general election next year in a landslide. I'm going to fight for every Ohioan in this state every day, regardless of their party, to pass that American dream on to their kids and their generation. I'm going to visit all 88 counties this year, and I'm going to visit all 88 counties next year. And I'm going to visit all 88 counties every one of the 8 years that I serve as your governor, because I want to listen to Ohioans. I don't want to govern from a bubble. I want to win in that landslide that unites our state with a Big Tent coalition that includes constitutional conservatives like me and many of you in this room, but also includes every kind of Republican. It includes independents. It includes libertarians. It includes orphaned Reagan Democrats and other orphaned Democrats and anybody else who finds themselves politically homeless in this state. If you care about economic excellence in Ohio and you care about educational excellence in Ohio, then we have a place for you in this movement and a seat at the table for you. I want every Democrat in this state to hear me loud and clear when I say this tonight. We're not going to agree on everything, and that's okay. It's actually a beautiful thing. We love our diversity of thought in Ohio. But if you care about putting more money in your bank account, more money in your kids' investment accounts, if you care about giving your kids the same shot at the American dream that this state and this country gave to me, then we're actually on the same team. And I invite you to join us in helping take our state to the next level, to work together to actually get it done. I'm grateful for the wave of statewide endorsements and national endorsements we've already received. Senators Rick Scott, Mike Lee, Marsha Blackburn, others across at the national level. Greg Lopez, Steve Hilton came here from Colorado and California, where they have bright futures to stay tuned for in their own respective states, following in this movement of being victors, not victims. I'm grateful for the statewide endorsements in this race. Look at the people we had already tonight. Frank LaRose, who's been an outstanding Secretary of State, who's going to be an even better state auditor in his next step. I'm thankful to Frank for his endorsement. To Robert Sprague, a great state treasurer, who's going to then step into those shoes as an even better Secretary of State. I'm grateful to him for taking a step back from the governor's run after he had gone in that direction to instead endorse me and work together as a team. The likes of Christina Rogner, who tonight, hot off the press, came out with her endorsement. Christina, I'm grateful for that. She is a star state senator in this state. She's running for state treasurer, and believe me, she has a very bright future ahead of her. Leaders from across this state at every level, from Columbus to Cleveland to Cincinnati, from Appalachia to Toledo, we want to lead our state to the next level. To the extent we have a primary this year, I welcome that, because competition breeds innovation. I'll be conservative without being combative, though I will fight to win when necessary. The most important part is that I will work with every Ohioan who cares about the future of our state, even my strongest opponents, to take our state to the next level, because even those who oppose me will have worthy ideas for our consideration. I invite every Ohioan, black or white, man or woman, urban or rural, even Democrat or Republican, to join us in this journey to take Ohio to our future. We don't have to be this state in decline. We don't have to be a nation in decline. We are still a state in our ascent, still on our way to that shining city on a hill, that beacon of light that makes the shining city on a hill still shine. That is Ohio for America. So 10 years from now, when we send manned rockets to Mars, when we use nuclear energy to power our electric grid, when we cure previously incurable genetic diseases, you know what they're going to say then? Only in Ohio. That's who we are. Still on our way up. The nation and the state where we will look our kids in the eye and mean it when we tell them, you get ahead in the state of Ohio with your own hard work, your own commitment, your own dedication, and that you know what? You are free to speak your mind at every step of the way. That is the American dream. That is my dream for Ohio. And with your help, we will turn that dream to reality. Thank you, Columbus. Thank you all tonight. May God bless you and your families. May God bless our United States of America and our great state of Ohio. Thank you all. God bless. Thank you. Thank you.
This is how legends are made.